Hey guys, Tisha here, and we are back for another Sister Wives review. This is season 9. Now, when I first started watching this episode, I noticed that it was long, and what they did was they have it titled as A Secret Marriage and Sister Wives Unseen. So I was going to do it all together at once, but while I was taking my notes, when they got to the second part, I just stopped it because I said, you know what? I'm not even going to do that to myself. I've done several book readings today, did a couple of reviews, and now I'm just going to break this off into 2 parts. I don't know what that second part is going to look like because I literally stopped watching. So we're going to do this first part, which is A Secret Marriage. So we pick up with Meri signing the paperwork for the legal divorce. We have Robin trying to make the tears drop, saying that what's crazy is while they were signing these divorce papers, it hurt her. Why does it always have to come back to her? I don't care what lies Robin is feeding us because she's going to tell us that this hurt her. But in this moment, I don't think it hurt Robin. I think that if anything, that bird was relieved. She was relieved that she finally got what she wanted, which was to eventually start the process of her being that legal wife. This moment should have not been about her, but TLC, by filming a secret moment with her, well, not a secret moment, a moment with her where Cody and Meri were gone, she was able to talk about how she was hurt by this. Cody and Meri walk out hand in hand. This is the most physical contact that I've seen with the 2 of them in many, many seasons. I would not be surprised if this was a part of the plan as well. He tells her that he's sorry, that he knows it's weird, and he's sorry that this is what they're having to go through. But in their world, nothing changes. I wonder if he really believed that in that moment, because it doesn't seem like he did, especially with certain comments that he's made now in the current season about what this divorce really meant in his eyes. Like how he thought that Meri thought she was gaining something because she did this divorce. Rob files the sorry, I thought I wrote the wrong person. Rob files the paperwork now that it's been notarized, and it will take 10 to 30 days to get it finalized by the court. So he's going to take her out to dinner. He's calling it a celebratory dinner of their covenant. When did he burn the rings? If you all know when he burnt the rings, put that down below, because he's celebrating the covenant here, but to me, him burning the rings was him breaking it. So at what point did that happen? But he's going to sit here and he's going to celebrate because it sounds good and it looks good. It's all about the optics, y'all. Don't forget that. He asks her how she's feeling. She says, later on, I'll be fine. Later today, I'll be fine, which means she doesn't want to really tell him the emotions that she's having right then. So she's just going to push it off to later on. She'll be fine because she's going to do that inner work that she needs to do to get herself to the right place. He tells her it's a big deal, and he's pretty amazed by her effort to help them structure their family the way they need it to. He says, I'm really impressed and proud of you. Even that statement to me is manipulation. Meri thought that this would bring her closer together. She basically said in the previous episode that we saw in the tell-all that it has brought them closer together. So I'm guessing that he treated her better in the moments leading up to and after the divorce, because it seems like with the catfish later coming into play this season, that this decision and this moment was short-lived, okay? He says, I'm proud to be married to you. And she says, really? Thanks. So because she made that decision, now he's proud of her and to be married to her. not for all the other things that she's done over the years and all the other sacrifices that she's made, from being the first wife to now being one of four. He chooses this moment to be proud of her because she's decided to divorce him. We then see that it's 2 weeks later and Robin is talking to Cody, and she lets Cody know that she wants her and Cody to have a conversation with Meri about the next step in their big plan. This was a plan. Even if that's not what Robin meant in that moment, I really, really believe that this was a plan. She said our big plan. I feel like it's a big plan. This very much so was a plan, especially between the bird and the bald eagle. I think to this day that these three individuals had a lot of secrets and still hold them for one another. There's things that we have not been told. And at this point, Meri has done a good job of doing her part. So Meri's done what she's supposed to do. She's done the first part of the plan, which is go ahead and do this divorce. So why is it that they now need to include her on the next parts of it? It's yet another way to manipulate her and to make her feel like she's part of something special, because you're just including her while the other two wives are just sitting off on the side. It's bull. So Robin says, I've been talking to the lawyer who set up the parenting plan years ago for myself and my ex, and she's working on the paperwork for adoption. And I'm just like, we're skipping a lot of steps here. How do we get to her working on paperwork for adoption? Did we even get to the part where he signed and said that he wanted to give away his rights? No, we did not. How did we get to this step of this adoption stuff beginning and being worked on 2 weeks after the initial paperwork was filed? I'm telling y'all, this was already in the works. Cody told us that it will take 10 to 30 days to get back the finalized documents for the divorce. This comes out of Cody's mouth. But here he is asking Meri 2 weeks after the process if she's heard anything back from the lawyer. What is the freaking rush? You have 30 days. It's been 14. If she heard back from the lawyer, I'm sure she would have told you by now. Cody says, once the divorce is finalized, we have to go to get the legal marriage. He said, we have to go and get the legal marriage. Who is we? Who? I would have told them that they can go and get that by themselves at this point. No consideration whatsoever for her and what she just did. It's like he's trying to run before he's even walking. You don't even have it finalized and you're talking about, oh, now we need to go get it. We need to go make sure we get it as soon as we get it finalized. Meri says she'd rather not know when they do it. He says, why not, Meri? We've been doing this entire thing as a team. Keep that in mind for later on in this episode. We've been doing this entire thing as a team, Meri. This is what we've been doing. Why wouldn't you want to be a part of the next step? I'll tell your unfeathered eagle tail why. Because it hurts her. Does it take a genius to know that this is hurting her? How is it that her husband for over 24 years can't see that it hurts her? This situation is hurtful. Yeah, she did it for the family, but it's not something that she really wanted to do. What a douche. He is a douchebag. Oh my God. Ugh. She said, I think you should do it whenever you're going to do it. I really don't want to know when you do it. The bird then says, Meri, I want you there. Why? Why do you need Meri to be there for that? So you can gloat in her pain? Why does she need to be there for something that hurts her? The non-sobbing bird told us that she was hurt watching Meri sign the divorce papers. But she doesn't hurt thinking of Meri watching her and Cody signing these legal papers. She doesn't hurt thinking of watching her husband, who no longer is her husband because she just got divorced, now marry you legally. Mother fudger. Like, seriously, these people are crazy. And what makes it crazier is they have this whole entire discussion just in the end to do something completely different. But we'll get to it. She says, this act is not an act of separation. It is an act of unity. And I think it'd be cool to have you and the kids there. If we were told that this changes nothing and that this is just paperwork and all these other things, then why in this instance are we now being told that it is a unifying thing that the kids should be there for along with Meri? Look at how quickly these feathered people played in her face. And then you wonder why later on she distances herself. She says, I already know, this is Meri, when your anniversary is, and it just feels weird knowing that you have two now. And Kody says, it's not going to be our anniversary. We're going to have the one anniversary of our actual marriage. This is just a formality. Then once again, why are they making a big to-do of whether or not Meri comes just to go see them sign some papers? Get out of her face. This shouldn't even have been a subject for so long. Robin says maybe it becomes an anniversary where we're sitting here and we're trying to unite the family. Just another way of Robin trying to convince Meri to be a part of this process. If that was truly the case, then this talk should have involved the other two wives as well. Once again, more manipulation. She says, Meri, we're a team. Meri says, I've tried hard to be there and to get caught up in my emotions, but I was shocked by the way that I felt in signing those divorce papers. So basically, she's anticipating the emotions that she may feel while watching them get legally married. And that's fair. After all, they had a wedding 4 years ago, which a lot of money was spent on, which TLC helped them, which there was a whole big to-do about this. So the fact that they now want her to consider being there for this, that's just supposed to be formality, get out of here. But they like to play. The feathered people, because it's the both of them, like to play games. Robin says, we're going to have this legal marriage, and it isn't about Kody and I, it's about the kids. I don't need that paperwork. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't need it. It's about the kids. Actions speak louder than words. She's saying one thing here about how it's about the kids, but she did want to kind of make a to-do of it because she wanted the kids and Meri to be there for that part of the process. So it is about more than just the kids. Meri says, I know that you won't, that Kody and Robin won't consider this date as anything other than the next step in adopting the kids, but I still don't want it to be a thing where I become emotional and it takes focus off of that. So they talk about Christine wanting to be a part of it. Robin says, she's already been to my wedding. You already been to my wedding, girl. Like, okay, so once again, why does Meri need to be a part of this? Meri says she knows somebody that can impersonate Elvis and can legally marry them, and she laughs, and Kody says no. If it wasn't a big deal, then it wouldn't matter who married them. Every last one of these adults were lying when it came to this situation. They said it wasn't a big deal, but it was a big deal. Janelle said in prior seasons, because we're done with that, Janelle said in prior seasons that this whole thing is going to probably change the fabric of the reality of what is, and it does. Kody claims he wants it to be a paperwork shuffle. Meri signed the legal divorce as part A. Part B is Robin and him signing the marriage certificate. Then they can adopt the kids and they can celebrate that. Once again, it's just about adopting the kids. So I wonder why he waited to say that in confessional and why that was not said to the bird when y'all were having this whole discussion about teamwork and being there for each other and all that other stuff. Okay, end of that. Janelle. We see Janelle heading to Meri's to talk about seeing Nancy together because she's ready to work out their issues. Keep in mind that a few months ago, she told us that she had a meeting with Nancy, and after that meeting, she determined that she needs to talk to Meri about this. So it's been several months, and now she's finally going to approach Meri. She's waiting until now, a time where Meri is already facing adjustments because of what's going on with Kody, her and Robin, to now wanting to talk to her about this while she's now in a divorce, okay? Janelle walks in, stands at the door, looks really awkward. Meri's like, do you want to sit down? Do you want to stand? And Janelle's like, I don't know. She said, it's really hard. We then get a clip of Robin in confessional saying that relationships between sister wives can be complicated. You have to be really careful because it can actually be really hard if they're not managed well. This is coming from, Robin, who is the polygamous guru, because she's been a part of polygamy for so long, and she's able to adapt and determine this based on her interactions and, how much she's tried to work on her relationships with her sister wives, even though just in the previous episode, she told us that she's really busy right now and it's kind of hard for her to make time for them. Please understand that I'm using all the sarcasm in the world when I'm making that statement, because I just find it funny how much Robin can speak on that dynamic. Christine adds, not all sister wives are best friends, and not all of them get along anyway. Some just coexist. But for years, they wanted us to think that what they had was functional. And here we have Christine saying that they basically don't get along. We return to Janelle and Meri, where Janelle is saying that in the past, that Meri has offered her many kinds of olive branches. And she adds, I think what it is that we just don't understand the way each other thinks. How, because in the book we're told that Janelle and Meri had some type of friendship. How do we go from them being friends, because they were friends when she was married to Meri's brother, to her now being involved with Kody, and they don't understand the way each other thinks. They've been able to work through the family, she says, and so she wants them to be able to now work on their relationship and have a deeper peace between the two of them. She says, we have Nancy now, this is Janelle, and I want to know if I can take you up on an olive branch that you offered a long time ago. And I just want to know, how long ago did Meri last offer the olive branch? Because Janelle has admittedly said that it's been multiple times that it was offered. Janelle adds, we'd go and try to work with her and figure out how to better understand each other. Meri said that she's kind of suspected for a while that Janelle was wanting to do this and that she wanted to talk to her. And that she can tell that it's hard for Janelle to even come to her and say this, because Meri has been on the other side where she tried to approach Janelle and have some of these same conversations in the past. So Meri looks at her and she's like, do you want to sit down? And Janelle says that she was reluctant about sitting down at first because she really didn't want to even talk about it at all without Nancy being there. But because Meri seemed approachable and somewhat receptive, she went ahead and sat down. So Janelle says, I feel like there's this deep misunderstanding in between us. I've seen how you and Robin have been able to come together and work through some tough things. And it kind of gave me hope that maybe, Meri, you and I could work through things that we've previously swept under the carpet. Meri then tells us in her confessional how they've had a history that isn't 100% pleasant, but they've made it work. And since making it work, they now know what their clear boundaries are. They've been able to put things aside, but there's still this shadow that lurks over them, and that they both know it. I want to know, and I've said this before, what was so bad that happened that got it to this point? Janelle then says, I think Nancy can help us sort out these things without me clamming up or going dark. And that got an eyebrow raise from me, because it makes me wonder what Janelle's version of dark is. Is her version of dark physical aggression? Because we've heard, I believe it was from McKelty, that Janelle and Meri did have a physical fight. because Meri gets blamed for a lot of things. But looking back at certain things, both in the book and on this show, I can see that even though I like Janelle, there are many times where Janelle's hands just aren't clean. I also know how dangerous, no offense to those of you who are soft-spoken, but those quieter, more soft-spoken people are, you know, the ones that people poke at, and how they switch when you poke just a little too much and you finally get that explosion. And I've seen some serious eruptions when those people are backed against a wall. Let me tell you something about me, right? Going into me a little bit. Growing up, I got in a lot of fights. I'm not gonna lie, been through a lot of things, especially in my middle school, teenage years. I had low tolerance for a lot of things, which is one of the reasons why I know me. I know like what some of my breaking points are. I know the type of people that I can be around and the type of people that I cannot. Because I came to a place where I was like, okay, Tisha, like, you're in handcuffs. What are you doing? Is fighting really worth you getting a possible charge? Now, thankfully, you know, great attorney and all that other stuff. But my point is that in my younger years, I was a tyrant. I was also that person who wasn't going to go back and forth with you and argue with you because I know what my temper could be like. And I knew how I got when I was pushed beyond my means. So part of me is like, okay, Janelle, what is that level, that black that you talk about, that dark? For me, it's black, where I can't remember certain things. When I get to that point, I don't like it. So I remain out of that. I haven't been in that place in years. Last time I was in that place, I was 25 years old. I have not been in that place in years because it's scary. So I want to know what Janelle's dark is. Because I believe that Janelle is scrappy. She talks about Maddie being a scrappy person. I think that Janelle is too. Back to the subject. So she said she wants it enough now, Janelle does, to be willing to be in this vulnerable place with Meri. She says that we've established patterns that weren't acceptable at all based on how we became a family and the way that we handle things. And Meri said that she started seeing a therapist 8 years ago. And in seeing that therapist, she was allowed to see a lot of the things that she was doing wrong that also affected her relationship with Janelle. So I'm wondering if some of these olive branches is started 8 years ago or even longer than that. She said that she said things to Janelle, not realizing that they were coming out aggressively, and that for the last year or so, she felt like she just no longer wanted to even entertain that or mess with Janelle, that she was just going to take her as she is. She said that she put herself out there a lot and kept extending olive branches to Janelle, and Janelle just kept shutting her down to the point where she was like, you know what, I'm fine if it just stays where it is. And I've built a wall up and said, okay. Janelle said, honestly, it wasn't until a year ago that I even became aware of the feelings that I had in regards to you, Meri, and to even hear that you were extending branches to me. I didn't see it as that at the time. Janelle says, we both have a lot of pain on both sides. Meri says, the only way that we're going to be able to do this is if we're going to be open, honest, and real. I can't handle you saying that things are fine when I know that it's not fine. She said, it drives me nuts that in the past that you've done that. She said, part of the problem is something would happen. You would say that it was fine. And then I would find out later down the line that it wasn't, and it was an issue. And my guess is because we did hear Janelle say in the book that she would take some of her grievances to Cody, that she was telling Cody all the different things that were going on with her and Meri. And we know that Cody didn't do anything about it. And at first I was like, what kind of husband is this that he's not interjecting or whatever? But I thought a little bit more about it in the book that I'm reading, Love Times 3. We're learning about Joe Darker and his family, who also are polygamists. They've been on the show a couple times. If you haven't watched it, shameless plug, go listen to it. It's actually a good book. And one of the things that he says is he's learned that he cannot get involved when his wives have conflicts. He says he instead has to encourage them to work it out on their own, because if he gets involved, he risks offending another wife. He says that if it lingers, then he'll step in, but he tries not to have to do that. So I guess part of the problem here was Cody didn't encourage his wives to work out their issues. Instead, he kind of became a sounding board for what their issues were. So she says, Meri's like, why do you want it? Why now? Why do you want it now after all this time? And Janelle says she doesn't know why. She just knows that she wants it now. And I think it's because now Janelle is finally like seeing some of her faults as well. And because she's seeing that she is at fault for some things as well, now maybe she's in a better place mentally also, because she's been working out and things of that nature where she can deal with it. Meri says, I'm going to have to think about it because I need to know if I can trust you on that. I need to know that you'll be honest and not just say things are fine. And Janelle says, that's fair. She says, I want to, and I've wanted this for a while. Meri says this. I've wanted us to be okay for a while. She said, I don't feel like Janelle and I will get to this point where we're besties, but I do feel like we can get to a more comfortable place. And that's been her hope all along. Janelle then says she's just ready to stop having this shadow over her, that she wants light, and she just needs to clean out the closets and figure out what the problem has been with them for years. The little that we've heard about Janelle and some of the dynamics with her father and things of that nature, I'm going to assume that at times Meri was a trigger for Janelle and she was triggering to her. And because she never dealt with that, I think that some of that interaction that they had, that she may have taken out some things on Meri. And Meri admittedly took some things out on Janelle. We then are at the end of that. We see Meri. She's at home. She gets a phone call and an email. And the paperwork that they've been waiting on saying she's divorced. This was received because there's a stamp on the bottom of it that says September 17th, 2014. We get a whole spill about how their faith is and how they believe that they're eternally connected, both the husbands, the wives, and the children, so they aren't divorced. Robin comes in and Meri tells her that the divorce is final. So Meri telling her that it was finalized before telling the bald eagle in the bird's eyes was wrong. It's not proper. I don't see what the big deal is, because either way, because Cody shares everything. If he could tell y'all about weight gain, Robin, about weight gain and stretch marks, then I'm sure y'all share this whole divorce thing with each other. So apparently the divorce was finalized a day after Cody asks about it, because she tells Robin they should continue the discussion that they had the day before, which was the discussion outside about Meri being a part of the process. So Meri lets her know that she is now ready to be there for the next step and be a team player. Robin says, we have to play by the rules of the world and get this legal marriage. We then see Christine. He's at Christine's playing with some of the girls. Robin's kids are over there as well. And he's called to come over. Christine says what Meri is doing is beyond sweet and shows that family is the most important thing to her. He comes over and he's told about the divorce. He says, good, process 1 done, now on to process 2. The bird says, Meri and I have talked about it, and she is on board to be a part of the next process. Robin says, do we want to start figuring out when it's a good time for everybody? Now, a day later, Cody feels differently. He says him and Meri often change their minds, and this is an example because Cody's going to excuse away why he had that whole spill about how Meri needs to be a team player and all this other stuff a day later. So in the beginning of this episode, we get this whole spill about how Meri needs to be a part of the team and why she wouldn't be there for the next process when they get married and all these other things. They wanted her to think about it. She thinks about it, says okay, is ready to be there. She wants to see it just for Cody to do what Cody always does and pull the rug from under her by saying now he doesn't want for anybody to be there. He just wants it to be him and the bird. You can't make this stuff up. You can't. Did he not do the same thing with the whole surrogacy thing? How he kept hounding her about making a decision because he wanted her to explore surrogacy, and how Robin came and offered up her body to house Meri's egg and his sperm and all this other stuff. Just for when Meri was finally ready to say yes, he then said no if he only wants it, if it happens naturally. This is what Cody does. He says, let's just get it done. That way nobody knows when it happens. He said Robin wants the kids to be there for the justice of the peace marriage, and Meri wants Leon to be there. Then he'd have to then include everybody else, and he doesn't want another wedding. But yesterday he did. So once she's on board, then you want to pull the rug from under her and you want to say, oh no. Meri says it's disappointing to her. He says, for the love and sanctity of all that we are as a family, I don't want to do it any other way. The bird wants her there and feels like it would be a team building thing, which is the same thing that Cody said the day before. He's now worrying about Janelle and Christine and ways that he can clean it up. Robin is confused because this isn't what they talked about, obviously. But she sees the value in excluding the wives. I mean, that's basically what they're saying. They want to exclude the wives the same way excluded them in the beginning of the process. Like, it wasn't a whole we got permission ahead of time thing and all this other stuff. Robin and Cody were seeing each other well before any of those other women knew. My opinion. He said, at first the team thing seemed like a good idea, but he just needs it to be simplified. The team thing was good to get Meri to say yes, but now that you have what you want, you don't need the team thing. Okay, I got it. It's been 4 weeks since the papers were signed, and now they're going to the Justice of the Peace to get their license. Christine thought it would be fun to go. Janelle says it's not anything special. It's just like a business meeting. I just love the way Janelle manages to disconnect herself from everything, kind of making it seem like she doesn't have a heart, even though it was something that was special, because Janelle, you're the same person who said that this would change the fabric of what is. But now it's just a formality. Got it. Anything to make yourself sleep at night. It's no big deal. But Cody, we see later on, because they're going to go through with this, has his hair slicked back and he actually looks decent. They meet up at the park because they don't want the family to know. And then they head over in Cody's car to go have the civil ceremony and sign the paperwork. He says, for the sake of the love that he has for his wives, he just made this a formality. And that is the end of this part of season 9, episode 1. The second part is going to be the unseen footage, and I'm interested in seeing, because I can't remember any of this, because as I said before, I checked out way before all this started happening. So like the video if you have not done so already. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. Thank you so much for your time. And until next time. Oh, and subscribe. How dare I? How dare I forget to tell you? And subscribe if you have not done so already. I mean, if you've watched a couple reviews, just go ahead and join the fam. It helps. Until next time.